Welcome everyone to another episode of Bill Builds. We did a couple other ones which should be up before this one hits. This is to go along with our recent module that is airing right now. The Wiltram Locomotive Heist is up on YouTube and we stream live on Twitch. It launched on November 27th on Twitch and we put it up on YouTube Friday, the 4th of December. So these, we kind of decided that we're going to launch this module in the near future and we're going to do all that stuff. But we also talked about doing some character builds, some pre-gens for that. In case you're running this for some people or you're a new DM with a new group and you decided you wanted to run this because it is going to be an adventure module mainly for level 1, but we are also planning on having sort of a gap in there, some different options and some guidelines for GMs to up the encounter level. So if you play it at levels 2 or 3, it's going to have a little bit harder guard. Maybe at higher levels, we can work on throwing in some monsters or something like that to, make it a little bit more dynamic in the end for a higher level character. However, for what we ran, level 1, and although the players in that Wiltram Heist video were generated by the characters themselves, we thought, though, it'd be really cool to take other characters, put them into this setting, into this kind of one-shot idea, and that way if you're going to run this for a convention, you're going to run it for some friends, your first time running, their first time playing, whatever, it gives you some readily made characters to hand out to people.
And and the monsters and the like could be, and it will depend on the mining company that you roll for in the adventure module. There's 2 mining companies, and one may have golems, one may have clockworks, or a variety of other things, but it'll be interesting nonetheless to throw at your first levels or third levels even. So in the previous 2 videos we did with building characters, we built characters that we kind of planned on playing through this sort of module, and we figure that is already out there and available for you to use. There was my bard and an artificer that Dave had created as well. So those are 2 options for you to play, and we will be making the PDFs of those character sheets available for people to download. There will be links in the videos so that you can get access to that. But we thought, let's round out the party. Let's make a couple more. So today we're going to make one of those characters. We talked about this a little bit on what we're going to build. So since we have a bard, we've got some magic. Artificer, we've got some magic. A little bit of varied roles in there. We thought we're looking to get a rogue, standard, traditional. I mean, to play this with new players, someone's going to want to play that rogue character. For sure.
So we're going to go ahead and choose that. And today we had talked, last time we did it pen and paper, and we had talked about using various methods and modes. And this particular is... We
decided, like Bill said, last 2 characters was pen and paper, old school. This time around, we went more up to date and went digital. We didn't do D&D Beyond because, it's out there and, people are using it. But if you have a mobile phone, Bill found a neat little program that does it for you.
Yeah, this is my personal favorite. Now, again, I mentioned this in the first video that we did, that there is a little bit of back-end work you have to do to upload things. They have like a compendiums that you have to gather and upload. You also, to get full benefit of this app, you do have to pay for it. But it was like, I think $2.99 to buy the app itself. This is Lion's Den's Character Builder 5e. So I love it because you get this nice, you can put a portrait picture of your character there for inspiration as you play. You can then go down the list and choose things. They have it where you can go step by step, but I do things in different orders. So I tend to skip through that and get here. So to start with, we are going to look at our class, since we already discussed. And as you see, they have all sorts of them in here, including stuff from Unearthed Arcana. But I always choose the starting set because this gives the starting proficiencies that you have. That's always going to be something you want to know. But then it tells you the different options that you have. Some of these, like this is just standard. Some of the other classes at level 1, you're going to get a different option come through because of Xanathar's Guide or because of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So we chose we're going to do Rogue. And then I go down here to starting Rogue. And this is like your starting proficiencies, your armor and all that. But then you have some options, which comes in usually at the skills section right here in the middle here. So it says choose 4 from acrobatics, athletics, deception, insight, intimidation, investigation, perception, performance, persuasion, sleight of hand, and stealth. We haven't chosen our background yet, so we can choose these now or we can come back to it after our background. I tend to get an idea for what we can have, and then I end up kind of getting out of that. And then we're going to go back and think about our background. At least that's how I work, maybe differently than other people.
I do a little bit differently. So,
yeah. I mean, it is a pre-gen too, so it depends. Like a lot of the times when I'm building a character, I'll have like a very strong character concept for something that I want to play. So we do have a rogue. So here, I guess, is part of the thought of what do we want them to be as far as like a background idea or...
So for our setting, which is called Umberhaven, it's kind of a dark, gritty, Victorian, steampunk, 1800s, big city, like London almost. So we're kind of designing, since we're doing pre-gens, we're designing them for this adventure module. But when you do your own, you just have to pick your setting and figure out what you want to do, you know, for your world, or a pre-made setting like we're making. So for the rogue, I think criminal would be a good one.
Yeah.
Naturally. Because they are part of a thieves guild within our world setting called the Labyrinth. And they're pretty much at bottom rung. This train heist that they're doing is going to elevate them in the guild setting. So
here's one that's interesting, and let me just get some information on it. This is from Adventures League, apparently. The Hillsfar Smuggler. Now, these are set for specific, like Hillsfar is specific for the Adventures League, the Faerun world that they are using. But I don't see any reason why you couldn't take something like this, and instead of doing Hillsfar Smuggler, it could just be Umberhaven Smuggler or whatever. So you could go with something like this, say, okay, this character was a smuggler doing that stuff before they moved on into some of these other things, or this is their occupation, but now they're on an adventure.
Absolutely. I mean, just tailor pretty much anything you want to do in D&D 5th edition. Just tailor it to your own liking. I mean, I love to take game systems and pretty much take them apart and put them back together again the way I want to run my own games. So that's definitely what I would do in any situation. So
I mean, we could go with Smuggler, we could go with Criminal.
I think since we already have the Artificer is a criminal.
Yeah.
So I think Smuggler would be a neat twist.
All right, let's go with that one. Besides, I wanted to make sure that our rogue had perception, because our other characters do not have a strong perception skill. Again, looking at rounding out a party, especially if you're generating pre-gens for some sort of campaign or one-shot sort of thing, you want to hand these out to players. You want to have some that are going to be really good at other things, and some that, you know, everyone's good at. Like stealth is everybody in the party is good at stealth. That's not a bad thing.
And also, if we go with Smuggler, it will kind of help the party out at the end of the adventure module as well, depending on what they steal in the train heist. So.
Yeah, definitely depending on how they react. Some of the back skills that this has. So it's got a description of things in here. Obviously, you're going to have to tweak that to match your world, which right now we're just doing pre-gens. We'll leave it up to anybody else who wants to take this and use it. The things that we're interested in right now are there's proficiencies in perception and stealth. They get 1 racial language. They get 2 proficiency in forgery kit, And then they get the forgery kit, common clothes, belt pouch, 5 gold pieces. So these are...
The forgery kit is highly useful depending on where you go within this adventure module.
Yes. Also, in our world in general, in Umberhaven right now, it is a shady place. And I mean, there's one of those things that it's not necessarily everything's evil, but it's like there's a lot of people that are out to take advantage of everybody else. So
everything is gray.
yeah, there's a lot of gray areas in there. So we've chosen that we've got a smuggler. We want him to be a rogue. Now we got to kind of think about race. Sometimes race will give you some proficiency. So I'd like to wait on that, on choosing my final proficiencies based on that. So once again, we do have a rogue, and we are going to give them something probably to be dexterous. So we can either go with something like the Tasha's, where you can choose a feat in that, but I kind of want to keep this accessible to most people. Not everyone has Tasha's, so let's kind of maybe think about what we would like for a roguish character.
So the previous 2 characters are actually halflings, and they pretty much grew up together in an orphanage. So we could go a different route and make some of the taller races, like elves.
Yeah.
Or even human.
Yeah, so human's always a good one. My favorite usually is like a human variant, because then you still get to pull in a feat at first level and utilize that to make your character very unique. Another one that kind of was drawing my thought was like a half-elf, because they get charisma, but they also get a +1 to 2 other skills. So, as well as some extra skills in general. So something along that lines, elf, half-elf, or human, I think. Let's focus on those just to keep us from going down there.
Well, why not just go in between then? Let's do half-elf.
Half-elf, okay.
Yeah.
Let's, let me find half-elf on here. Alphabetical.
Which also makes this program really, really nice.
Yeah, that part is nice. There's one thing I've found, like looking through, just flipping through the regular books, sometimes you're like, why did you organize it in this way? For me, that's very easy. So
I definitely get familiar with the book first before you go digital.
Yeah.
Because that way you just kind of already know everything that you need to know once you go digital. It's like, oh yeah, I can just go boom, boom, boom and be done with it, without going, wait a minute here. So
yeah,
because they do have some interesting information within the books themselves.
Well, and I think here too, I don't think it has all the information that you would need. Like this one doesn't tell you that you get the +1 in the different attributes. It always makes me do a double take when I'm like, wait a minute, it doesn't say I get the +1 in various attributes, but you do. So we definitely want to do dexterity at a +1. So we're going to add that. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, half-elf gets a +1 in 2 different things. All right, so we've gotten +2 charisma from just being half-elf. That's the start. +1 dexterity we put in. And we're going to jump into the third, which I think, let's go with, what? I got to remember. Switch that to ability score. Now I'm going to go to wisdom, I think, because we did already give him perception. So I think we're going to have this character be a little bit on the wiser side for our group. Maybe not the top, I don't know. But I mean, it's probably not going to be his top score, but a decent score in there.
It's very good for smugglers and knowing their environment and stuff, because I do believe that survival falls under wisdom.
Yeah, it does actually. So let's see. I don't think though they get survival with this. They get perception and stealth for the smuggler, and I don't know if they get it. But we do have half elf. We can get a couple free skills. Survival might be a great one to put that in. All right, so we got the race, we got the general class, we got the that. So we need to figure out the skills where we're going to put them in. Now this part, I didn't do all the thinking ahead of time, but dexterity for using standard array 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. So this is a great spot to be a 15. So that'll make it a 16 total because we gave him the +1. Let's look at the rest of them. Strength, probably going to be our dump stat here because he's a rogue. He is all about being fast and quick. All right, so that's going to be that. Wisdom, I'd say we put our 13 in there, so that becomes a 14 wisdom. So now we just have to decide, do we want to have several 14s? We put, because we have a 14 to use. We could put in charisma, and he's super charismatic, and that. Or we could put a 12 in there and make that a 14. And he's still fairly charismatic, but then we can up something else, either intelligence or constitution. And then we've kind of got this, like, good at a lot of things. And since he's got a lot of skills, that might be
I think we should minimize charisma.
Okay.
And up some constitution.
All right. So
kind of make him a little bit more beefier rogue than your typical rogue.
Okay, so do we want to put our 14 into Constitution then and give him a +2 to his hit points and his
Absolutely.
there? All right.
Absolutely.
So we'll do that. I like that kind of idea. He's not strong, but he is like a quick, hardy rogue so far.
Resilient.
Yeah. So we have a 12 and a 10 to use. We could put the 12 in charisma, and he's fairly charismatic at 14, or we could put it in intelligence, and then he'll have a 12 in intelligence and a 12 in charisma. And he's good at both, but not amazing.
Yeah. He is a smuggler though, so I think we should mess around with charisma.
Okay. So we're gonna bump up his charisma. He's not the smartest bulb in the group, but he is fairly charismatic, fairly wise, very fast. So I like it. That's cool. Hit points for a rogue starts at a D8, so you always get max hit points first level. So D8 plus, we have a +2 in Constitution, so he's going to start with a decent number of 10 hit points, level 1.
Pretty impressive for being a rogue.
Mm-hmm.
At first level.
Yeah, not going to complain. So I just want to double check the skills because we want to go back in now and work on that with the rogue. So we're going to go to here. I like to just double check. We got perception and stealth coming from here. Go into the rogue. So now, as a starting rogue, we can choose from acrobatics, athletics, deception, insight, intimidation, investigation, perceptions, performance, persuasion, sleight of hand, and stealth. So we have perception and stealth covered.
Okay, perception and stealth is covered. Okay.
Yeah. So I think sleight of hand is not a bad one.
No, not at all.
Given that we are first of all, a thief, like a rogue sort of thing, but also as a smuggler, you're probably going to want to be able to hide things quickly. If someone comes around, some of that evidence. Let's see. We didn't go on intelligence, so we can keep our investigation off, I think, for now. But perhaps because we did give him charisma and we did give him a little bit of wisdom, let's give him insight for sure, so he can try to pick up on people. And you figure a smuggler, dealing with others, just going to look to see what their ulterior motives are.
Yep, like lying and cheating. And
yeah. So deception, probably going to be something he's going to use.
He needs to do the same thing.
Yeah. So now the question would be, do we go with something like acrobatics for like a mobility sort of a maneuvers that he may be able to do? Do we want to further that influence of his charisma and give him like something like either a performance for putting on a show sort of a thing, or persuasion to try to alter people's thoughts?
I am torn between acrobatics as, a means to possibly as a getaway, or, getting over walls and into windows. But that perception, though, or not perception, but persuasion may help him out more so. So,
okay. Well, for now, let's go with persuasion because we do get a couple extra skills from being a half elf. So I just wanted to make sure these are ticking that box of choosing 4 from here. Then we can go back. So we've got that. So he's going to have his thieves tools. We've got these skills that we've given him, and We're going to get out of the rogue part, go back into half elf part, and go down to skill versatility, and we're going to gain proficiency in 2 skills. So we already talked about survival.
Yep.
So we want to give him survival. And then here we could go back. We could give him the acrobatics that we're talking about. Or if he's a smuggler, we could maybe give him animal handling for the ability to, get those animals in line, sort of.
True. And it really depends on if he would use animals or not. Once again, I'm torn between animal handling and acrobatics for sure. I don't see any of the other skills fitting his persona.
Yeah, no. I mean, we're kind of down to those. And I was going to say, let's just do acrobatics right off. And then I saw animal handling. I was like, ooh, maybe. Maybe. Let's just go with acrobatics for now. You can't go wrong with acrobatics as a thief, and it's really the only thing that uses dexterity, that we haven't really touched on. He's gotten stealth, he's got sleight of hand, so might as well just double down on all of his dexterous.
As well as in the adventure module, you would use more acrobatics than animal handling.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And because we are designing it more for one-shot sort of thing for this, that's a good kind of rundown of things. So
if you want to use this particular character longer, maybe you could switch out. Instead of doing acrobatics, you could do animal handling.
Yeah. And for sure, if this is something that someone plays this as a one-shot or whatever and loves the way the character came out, loves their rendition of this character, because we still haven't, there's no life yet in this character, and we're not necessarily looking to give you crazy backstory on this one. There will be some, I'm sure, in the build category we do that we'll get into that. But for now, we're just trying to build a pretty simple, straightforward half-elf that you can throw into something. So here, the thing that we're kind of missing now, just to make it a full kind of one-shot character, is we need something to call this particular half-elf rogue. So one of the things we have done in the past is, if you are having trouble figuring out names, there's the fantasynamegenerators.com. Now, once again, we're not supported, we're not sponsored by them, by Lion's Den, by anything like that. We're just utilizing these tools. They're tools we use normally and tools we may, continue to use in the future. So Dave, I don't know if you want to pull up fantasy names and maybe come up with something.
Yep, I'm looking at it presently.
The beautiful thing about a half elf is you can go 2 ways. You can go elven, you can go human, you could go something more culturally sound in your system. So there's a lot of options.
So when you go to the website, at the very top of the page, I mean, it's got easily 1,000+ names in this generator, and they even have a support link that you can donate money to the cause of this website, and the person that runs it just keeps on putting in names, and it just randomly generates. Some of them are quite interesting, and a lot of them are unpronounceable. But here's a neat thing that I like to do. I like to take the names and plug them into Google Translate, and oh boy, do you get some interesting responses back from good old Google. But yeah, some of them come quite decent. But yeah, for fantasy names and stuff like that, they actually have a fantasy name category, and you click on the button that brings down a whole list of stuff. And sure enough, they actually have a half-elf name generator. And what that will do will create 10 random names, and you have, if you scroll down, then they'll just give all the list of all those 10 names. But then they have 2 buttons. Sometimes they have 3, but majority of them have a get male names and get female names. We are just assuming that this character is going to be male, but doesn't have to be. You can change it up however you'd like once you do your own,
Especially like these pre-gens, like you probably design it ahead. Maybe you don't know who's in your game. You can even shoot it out to your players, say, hey, I have pre-gens for these, like I have, these races, these classes, pre-gens. If you'd like to come up with your own name, feel free to bring that to the game. Otherwise, I have some provided. Speaking of, you found one.
I did find one.
Hilkas Lucerne.
Lucerne, I do believe. Yep.
Sounds good.
Lucerne.
And with that, you're basically done making this character. So I'm going to click add here, and it goes, and you can see some of my other characters I made. But this is one reason I like this program, is the output of it comes out very nice. We haven't given it equipment, which we will go back and do. But I just thought we'd finalize that part. We've got the name, we've got all that. It goes down now, so you can see the effect of what we did. So the starred ones on this list are ones you are proficient with, ones we've put our proficiencies into, and then it's going to give you the bonuses for any of those skill checks. So as you can see, very good at dexterity-based things, pretty darn good at the wisdom and charisma-based things. And it's a very awesome little way to look through quickly and see what your character is good at. And then the last thing that we kind of need to do are add items to this. So weapons, they usually come with daggers. So we're going to go ahead and grab a dagger. I got to get through all the +2, +3. No pre-gen starting with that, not at these levels.
No, you definitely don't want, unless if you want to like do super high fantasy. And if you do super high fantasy, it is highly recommended that all your NPCs have magical items as well. I'm actually going to go back to the edit character because I just want to double check what they actually start with, because that's what we want to make sure they have. So they get a rapier or a short bow, but then they get a short bow and quiver or a short sword. So I'm always going to choose rapier if I get the option. It deals more damage, dexterity based still, one-handed. It's, I think, a superior weapon if you're fighting with the one weapon, as most rogues are apt to do. So we'll give them a rapier, a short bow, the burglar's pack, or an explorer's pack. I do believe the burglars.
We'll go with burglar's pack, just because it is a city base. Like, I mean, in general, the setting's city based. The players and characters will be leaving it for this first shot, but nothing too crazy. Leather armor, 2 daggers, and thieves' tools. So we're going to go back to our equipment, and I'll just add it from here. We're going to go weapons. The only downside I find with this program is every time I choose one, I have to go back and choose another one. Like, I don't get to continue scrolling from where I'm at. So I gotta find them. And they have, now I have ones from every system, like every book that they've released, and all the pluses thrown in there. On the other hand, if you're not sure what you want, or you're building like a higher level character or higher level NPC that you want to give something cool, this is a good way, is you just kind of scroll through and be like, oh, what's this weapon? What's this? What's that? I just want a standard rapier though. We're going to add that. We're going to add a short bow. But what you'll find is in the end, you have a very well designed character that you can kind of play around with. And let's just worry about the armor, because I hate leather armor. I think it's the worst. Like, studded leather is only one better, and it's not that much more expensive. But this is how we started it off, just by what you get. It will be one of the first things that anyone will upgrade. The other cool thing about this is it tells you everything that's in that pack, which I've seen so many times where people they write down explorer's pack on their character sheet, and then they go, oh, I don't think I have a whatever. I don't think I have a torch. I don't think I have a rope. I don't, but if you have this kind of layout for it, you can see this one actually doesn't have a rope, but
it does. It's hip rope at the bottom.
Where was it? Oh, hemp rope. Yep. Did I totally miss it? Oh, hempen rope down there, 50 feet. I saw the 10 feet of string, and I was like, oh, okay, then I guess there's no rope.
Which you would be amazed of how creative players can get once they see a list of equipment. And it is ever so surprising. And
yeah.
In some occasions.
Well, it's like you're in the heat of something, and you're not sure like what you might need, and then you're like,
absolutely.
oh, wait a minute, I have a bell and a string. I can make a little like triple arm for, to make sure that if someone's coming behind us, we know that they're coming. Or I have oil and a hood and lantern.
Or I lost my dagger, so now I have a crowbar in which I can use as improvised weapon.
Yeah, totally. So all sorts of cool things you can figure out, I'm sure, given enough thought and ingenuity. So I don't know, is there anything else we need to do with Hilkis Lucerne?
I don't believe so. I think he's complete as far as I know of.
So as you see on the character sheet here, it's now filled in your attack bonus for these weapons, the damages that you're going to do. It automatically is choosing the appropriate skill, in this case dexterity, for everything we've chosen, because that's what we're good at, and putting it in there.
Personalities.
So there are personalities.
Not only personalities, but the ideas, the bonds, the flaws, the alignment.
Yeah, so this has some of the suggested characteristics that you can choose based on being a smuggler. Now, there's a huge selection of things that you can do. So it just depends on,
I do believe the book actually also says that you can create your own.
Yeah. And you can basically create your own background too. So this has some suggested ones. Like we said, you can go in and alter them, come up with your own, look at other class background suggested ones.
And I do believe on the internet, either it's D&D Beyond or one of those, actually compiled an entire list of all of them together. And just a simple D&D 5e personality tables, I do believe that you could do a search of. So yeah, you have a wide variety to choose from as far as what you want to put in your pre-gens.
Hey guys, we're going to leave you there with the character as it is. We're going to let you fill in the ideals and flaws for the background, the bonds. These just really help round out a character, but you can make up your own. You can take what's from there, borrow from other backgrounds, however you guys want to do it, however you think works best for the character that you want to create or the pre-gen that you want for your setting. If you did enjoy this, please like and subscribe. Check out the links in the description. We've got Amazon affiliate links for all the D&D material that we use on a regular basis. We also have linked in there shirts like the shirt I'm wearing now. Let's see if we can get you better. Like the shirt I'm wearing now. Plus some other ones that I have personally created and designed. It does have the Amazon affiliate link in there for this shirt, and that will help out the show itself. All the proceeds from that sort of stuff is going to go back into this show. Better equipment for us, more stuff that we can open, do some unboxings or giveaways maybe in the future. I don't know. We're still figuring it all out, but any of that will certainly go a long way towards helping us and further this exploration into D&D content. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and roll well.